Someone in your life has a remote control to your mind. You do not know it, but they do. One word from them and your whole day shifts. One tone, one look, one silence that lasts a second too long, and the reaction starts before you chose it. Your heart rate climbs, your thoughts narrow. You say something or you swallow something, and both of those cost you. They walked away fine. You are still here, hours later, running the same scene in your head. That is not anger. That is ownership, and it ends today. Trace that moment backward. Someone did something. You felt something. You reacted. And the result of that chain was always the same. You lost power, and they gained it. This is the transaction most people never see. Anger is not an emotion that lives inside you. It is a weapon that other people fire using your own nervous system. They pull the trigger. You do the damage. To yourself. Every single time. Machiavelli understood something that most men never grasp. The man who can be reliably provoked can be reliably controlled. Your predictable reactions are not just weaknesses. They are a map. Every time you display anger, hurt, or frustration to the wrong person, you hand them a guide to defeating you. I am going to show you 7 mechanisms. 7 ways to close the gaps that people use when they want to reach inside you and pull a reaction out. Point 5 is the one that changes the entire frame. It will make you see every conflict you have ever had in a completely different way. I will come back to it. Stay with me. Your anger is not a response to what happened. It is a response to the story you told yourself about what happened. Between every event and every reaction, there is a fraction of a second. A window where interpretation happens. Someone says something dismissive in a meeting. In that window, your mind files it. They do not respect me. They think I am beneath them. They are doing this deliberately, and the anger follows the story, not the event. 2 people can hear the exact same comment. One walks away unbothered. The other is still thinking about it at midnight. The event was identical. The story was different. Machiavelli wrote that men judge more by what they see than by what they touch. People respond to appearances of reality, not reality itself. The same principle runs inside you in reverse. Your reactions are following an interpretation you constructed, not a fact. The moment you see this clearly, everything shifts. You are not at the mercy of events. You are at the mercy of your own stories, and a story can be rewritten. That your anger is a story. Stories can be changed. The most psychologically controlled people in history shared one habit they never named. They watched their anger instead of becoming it. Picture a general on a hill above a battle. Below him, chaos, lines breaking, men dying. He sees all of it clearly, but he is not inside it, reacting to each individual moment. He is above it, observing, deciding. That distance is not coldness. That distance is power. When you feel anger rising, the instinct is to merge with it. Most people either explode or suppress, but there is a third position. Step back and watch it from outside. You are not someone who gets angry. You are someone observing the part of yourself that wants to get angry. That identity shift changes what is possible. When you observe your anger instead of becoming it, something happens. It weakens, not because you suppressed it, because you saw it clearly from a distance and it lost the power that closeness gives it. A fire looks enormous when you are standing inside it. From 100 meters away, it looks manageable. Observe it. Do not become it. Stop before we continue. You have probably heard versions of those first 2 points before, and somewhere in the back of your mind you're thinking, I know this. I tried this. It does not work on me. Here's what you missed. And this is the part nobody talks about. Most emotional control techniques fail because people confuse suppression with silence. They are not the same thing. Suppression is still a reaction. You are responding to the provocation. You're just paying extra to hide it. And anyone watching closely can see it anyway. The jaw tightens. The eyes shift. The body says what the mouth refuses to. The person who provoked you sees the answer they wanted, even without words. Strategic silence is different. It is the absence of investment. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." The person who responds to every provocation is completely readable. You know exactly what moved them, what costs them. The person who responds to almost nothing is impossible to map. When someone delivers a provocation and receives genuine stillness in return, something breaks inside their model of you. The transaction did not complete. They said the thing. Nothing happened. That confusion is yours to use. And here is what most people miss. Silence forces the other person to fill space. They repeat themselves. They escalate. They over-explain. Every word they add is data you are collecting while they believe they are attacking you. Your silence was not a retreat. It was a net. People do not provoke others randomly. They provoke because it gives them something. Think about what your reaction provides. Attention. Proof that they have power over your emotional state. For certain people, watching you lose control is the entire point. Your reaction is their payoff, and you have been paying it reliably every time they asked. The only permanent solution to unwanted behavior is to remove the reward driving it, not by punishing it, not by explaining why it is wrong, by returning zero emotional signal. When the behavior produces nothing, it stops. That is not philosophy. That is how all behavioral systems work. When you respond to a provocation with complete calm, something disorienting happens to the person delivering it. Their model of you predicted a reaction. The model was wrong. They try again. Same result. After enough repetitions, one of two things happens. They stop or they escalate in a way that shows you exactly how desperate they are. Either outcome gives you information. Either outcome serves you. The person who cannot be bothered is not interesting to provoke. Remove the reward. End the transaction. Everything I have shown you so far is defense. How to protect yourself. How to absorb. How to not react. What comes next is offense. This is the shift most people never make. And it is the one that changes every conflict you have ever been in, retroactively, including the ones that hurt you most. This is the one I told you about at the start. When someone provokes you, they are not just attacking, they are revealing. Think carefully about what someone is communicating the moment they try to make you angry. They are telling you what they believe your weak points are. They are telling you how they have been watching you. They are showing you their private assessment of your vulnerabilities. Every single provocation is a psychological profile delivered to you directly for free. The correct response is not anger, it is attention. When someone tries to make you feel small in a meeting, they are telling you that status matters enormously to them, and they see yours as a threat. When someone mocks your choices publicly, they are telling you their own choices feel unstable. When someone tears apart your work with contempt, they are telling you their identity depends on being superior to you. The attack is always a confession. Machiavelli knew that the moment your enemy commits to a move, they have shown you their hand. The strategist who sees a pattern does not celebrate. He adjusts and uses it. Once you see provocations this way, they stop arriving as wounds. They arrive as data. The anger dissolves on its own because the trigger has been replaced by something colder and far more useful: curiosity. What are they confessing right now? What does this tell me? That question makes you untouchable. Every person who can make you angry owns a piece of you. You can only be provoked by someone whose opinion carries weight inside your own mind. You can only be hurt by someone whose judgment you have given authority over your self-perception. The power they have over your emotional state is power you gave them, usually without realizing you were giving it. Machiavelli wrote that a prince who becomes too dependent on others becomes a prisoner of their expectations. The same law operates inside every individual. The more emotional significance you assign to another person's view of you, the more access they have to your reactions. Reducing, that is not about forgiving them. It is not about releasing anything. It is about withdrawing an investment, reclaiming what you spent on their opinion, quietly, without announcement. You do not tell them. You do not need a conversation about it. You simply stop paying. Their words stop carrying the weight you assigned them. Their contempt stops costing you anything. The list of people who can genuinely shake you should be very short. If it is long, you are carrying a debt you cannot afford, and someone is collecting the interest every single day. Keep the list short. Watch how few people suddenly have the ability to reach you. One more. This one sounds simple. It is not simple. It is where most people hand back all the ground they just gained at the very last moment, without knowing it. Machiavelli observed a pattern across every ruler who made a catastrophic decision. Almost none of them were made in stillness. They were made at the peak of anger, humiliation, or fear, in the exact moment when the emotion was highest and the thinking was worst. The rule is this: any decision made at the height of anger belongs to whoever made you angry, not to you. They handed you a weapon, you aimed it at yourself, and you called it a response. The message sent at 2 a.m. in rage, that belongs to them. The resignation drafted in humiliation, theirs. The relationship ended in a public argument where you said the thing you cannot take back, theirs. Every move made while the emotion was controlling the thinking is a move made for your enemy, not for yourself. Real strategic moves come from stillness, not from apathy. Stillness is not the absence of feeling. It is the presence of control. The warrior who waits for the moment when the opponent overextends makes one move that counts. The warrior who charges in anger makes 10 moves that cost him. When someone provokes you to action, wait, not forever. Wait until the emotion has passed and the thinking has returned. Then decide, then move. What you do from that place will cost your enemy far more than anything you could have done in anger. Think about the person you pictured at the start of this video, the one with the remote control, the one who can shift your whole day with a word. They have not changed. What has changed is the system they are now dealing with. You understand that your anger was always following a story, not a fact. You know how to watch it instead of becoming it. You know that silence is a net, not a retreat. You have removed the reward they were collecting. You can see every provocation for what it actually is, a confession. You know who holds a piece of you and what it costs. And you know that decisions made in anger belong to whoever provoked them. The person who cannot be provoked cannot be controlled. Machiavelli wrote it directly. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. From today, what you appear to be is calm. What you really are is something else entirely. Drop a comment and say cold. Tell me who this made you think of. I read every single one. Subscribe to Machiavelli Strategy Code. New content every week for people who are done being used and ready to become unreadable.